Wiz Khalifa was solid. Even though he didn't know who anybody was there, he was solid.
I liked Wiz Khalifa.
Hey, that's a North Dakota boy. Remember that.
He's from Minot.
Why not?
Shut up.
Why not Minot of all places?
Shut up. Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast. We're happy that you're back with us for episode 3 of season 2. And the weather's turning into a favorable outlook, so that means racing season is coming up pretty soon, hopefully within the next couple months, fingers crossed. But having some snow melt, that's always good to see. We have the full cast here today with myself, Mason, along with Becca, John, and rising up from the ashes, I guess, is Jessup Pelkey. I don't know if I should call you Collinsworth anymore, but
Collinsworth's coming from the dead. It's race season. Let's go.
There we go. I guess Collinsworth's back. So want to welcome you all again for episode 3. We had some exciting news if you saw in this last week that we just gathered our official sponsor for the Track Packers. We want to thank Tyler Hall and Hitch Harness, new company within the last year. They specialize in receiver hitch storage. So if you're a truck owner, and I know we have one truck owner here in a group of us, you can attest that sometimes your hitches are kind of loose in the back of the truck bed, and they can be a little bit of a pain if you're on the go and trying to get into the back of your truck, or it kind of rolls around while in the midst of traveling. So this is a really great solution. If you head over to hitchharness.com, they have all sorts of variety of styles for your hitch storage. They also just added recently some chassis dollies. So for the racers out there that want to get some more leeway in working on your car, whether it's to wash it or something like that, go ahead and head over to hitchharness.com, contact Tyler, and see if he can hook you up with something. So I want to thank Hitch Harness for joining us for the 2023 season. That's very exciting.
Mason, I'm looking forward to the product testing and reviewing here. I mean, we're going to put it on Becca's Malibu just to make sure her Malibu harness or hitch is harnessed when she's not using it.
Well, we really want to make sure she's safe because we've seen her driving and it's less than safe.
But you know what? That brings up a good point, John. This harness for your hitches are actually a safety feature for when you're out driving. It is, Becca. It truly is. Because it is a chunk of steel that if it's not in the actual hitch itself, it's sitting in the back, either the back of your truck or in the bed. So if, heaven forbid, you got to stomp on the brakes to avoid the deer, or if that person driving ahead of you in the McDonald's drive-through lane's going a little too slow, you don't want it to come flying through the back window or causing any dents or damage to your truck bed. So it actually is a pretty useful little
extreme circumstances right there.
But even at that, it's still a safety device.
Mm-hmm.
If you roll your truck, because farmers tend to roll their trucks just like your vehicle rolled. Yeah, your old truck rolled this past summer. If that's sitting in the back, yes. As Beck goes back down memory lane, the situation, one of her father's farm hands was using Becca's old high school vehicle, which was an old little truck, and they happened to take a corner too fast, and they rolled the truck into the ditch. Now, if you have a hitch in the back of it, that is a heavy chunk of steel that's loose and flying all over the place, where this harness is going to hold it in place, and it provides a safety mechanism. So I'm all for safety.
Perfect. Well, I'll be excited to see it on your truck here pretty soon, hopefully.
Yes. They can send it to Becca's house.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay.
Well, there we go. So a new chapter for the Track Packers with Hitch Harness jumping on board. And with that, let's drop the green flag on episode number 3. And let's get started with who or what are we repping for episode 3? And let's start with Mr. John Breckle this time. John, who or what are you repping?
Ooh, I've got a kind of a nice shirt here too. That kind of a throwback a little bit. So I am repping a Hank Berry number 25 shirt. So Hank, a multi-time champion of the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, as well as the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede, the North Dakota Governor's Cup, many big wins in Hank's career of racing. And it's got his car on the back of the shirt, and just a great shirt overall.
Very cool. Very cool shirt. I'm actually going to go next because it kind of transitions well off of John's shirt. And so you mentioned that Hank Berry is a multi-time champion of the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, and I actually have a Dakota Classic Modified Tour shirt because I realized that I mainly rep drivers when I went through our shirt inventory. So figured I'd rep an event. This is from 1998. So an oldie shirt. I've had this, gosh, I wore it so many times. It's been insane. It used to be one of my old pajama shirts, and I don't think I've worn it in like the last 10 years.
I'm
So-
just impressed that you can still fit into that from
You
1998.
5 when you got that shirt?
I don't know when I got this shirt, to be honest, but it's an adult small. So like most of my pajama shirts were super huge. So like when Becca wears like the 4X hoodies, that was me for pajama shirts with racing shirts.
Okay, this makes more sense because I was just going to say, did you not grow at all since you were 5 years old?
John
It's a little
Mason.
tight, but
John Mason shops at Baby Gap. I think it's a size extra medium.
This
Yes.
is true. I mean, it's kind of like, kind of like Becca. Usually she gets youth sizes of clothes.
yeah, so that's it. It's definitely one of my oldest shirts. I don't think it's the oldest shirt I have, but definitely one of the oldest. So
I'd love to see that in person one day.
yeah. Jessup, who or what are you repping?
Well, I am repping a Scotty Gartner hoodie, and it is of the old Rumblebee back when it was new and cool looking before it is now torn up and slightly less cool looking. So Rumblebee. Did you see it? It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's pretty dang
Becca's
cool.
just mad. Becca's just mad jelly that it came out of my little tote of racing stuff.
I have that hoodie, but smaller.
There you go.
Well, I wore it first. So Mason, when you go to mark down our shirt selection, put her as the double down.
That's great.
Hoodie and t-shirt form. So if I really wanted to show
Yeah.
I think I
in
wore the
other
shirt
words-
of his, but it was huge on me, so I don't remember.
But in other words, Jessup wore it best.
Yes.
Okay.
And finally, Miss Becca, who or what are you repping?
First of all, before Becca goes, race fans and drivers and our viewers, it's beanie season.
Indeed, it
Ladies and
is.
gentlemen, that is a very nice CC beanie. It is CC because you can tell it says CC on the front of the beanie. It also has the little beanie ball at the top. It is
Well,
poofy and
Yeah.
it's slightly furry.
This is not a CC beanie, but thank you. It is one of my favorite beanies.
It's
But
one of like 1,000.
She just got this. I got her a good Christmas gift. Good for me.
actually,
Good job, Jessup.
my dad and stepmother gave me this beanie.
No, they got you the blue one.
You got me the black one. This is from them.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Okay, whatever. I don't care. Oh, it just hurt my feelings a little more, hey? I'm emotional now.
What's going on? What is going on? Today,
This is great.
today I am repping a hoodie that I accidentally found in our pit shack. I don't know if it was left there by accident or if it was turned in and lost and found, but it is one of my favorite hoodies because I have realized I have turned into my mother, and I have grown to like the color white, which is
Terrible to wear at a racetrack.
Such a
awful.
great color at a racetrack.
But I like white hoodies.
Yeah.
All right, so I am repping Tom
Hoodie.
from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
Tom who?
Endring.
Oh, so you never said his last name.
Yes, I did. I said it
Well,
really fast because I didn't exactly know how to
Jessup
say it.
interrupted with hoodie, so it sounded like Tom Hoodie.
Yep, that's exactly what it sounded like.
No, I am repping Tom Endring from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. I believe he raced Wissota Midwest Modified. And in fact, he hasn't raced in so long that his face, he has no My Race Pass profile out there, but he does have some racing photos on his Facebook page that I totally creeped on before this podcast. So yeah, I really like it though. It's really clean.
I think the last time I saw him race was around 2014 or 2015, one of my last years of college. And yeah, I haven't seen him on the track racing since, but I've seen him in the pits a couple times.
Yeah, no, I really like this hoodie. So
It's a cool looking one. Yeah. Kind of nice that we all basically had some throwback shirts. So that's pretty cool of us.
We
Or
are cool.
us.
We are cool, Mason.
Only sometimes. Well,
Wait,
cool.
who's
So that was who or what we were repping for episode 3. So kind of want to go through some of the racing that's taken place so far this year. We touched on a little bit of the racing in January. Finished up the last couple weeks with some racing down in Arizona. I think the last time we recorded was the last week of the Ernie Mincy Early Thaw, which a lot of our locals did very well down there, had a nice representation. I know Trent Greger was probably one of the big ones that stood out in the stock cars, put on really good performances. How many wins did you get? Did you just get one, or did you get more than one?
You got 2.
2?
I think you got 2. Might be wrong. Might be 3, but 2 sounds about right.
we didn't get to.
Yeah, because he was
Brody got a couple down there, but I think he only got one at the actual thaw, and then he had one at Wild West Shoot Up.
Regardless, a lot of our locals, whether they're from North Dakota, Minnesota, they went down south and represented us well.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch much of it just because I got so busy working on other stuff, but I heard the racing was pretty good. And the highlights that I saw, like, I mean, there's multiple grooves of racing the entire week, and it was really good to see. A lot of the late model guys stuck out to me. Jason Strand, Dustin Bloom, some of the performers from up here that maybe don't have as many years of experience in late models, but they were running up towards the front and really putting on a good show. I thought that was really cool to see.
Trent had 2 wins down there directly, and seven top 5s out of 7 starts. So he had a very, very, very nice start to his season. And Rodine also had 2 wins at Central Arizona Raceway, and also had that win over at the Wild West Shootout.
Yep.
Preston Carr, I know, has visited Victory Lane as well down there, like Mason said. So yes. So
Jordan Silmer, I believe.
yep.
So
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Let's
know
just-
we have. Oh, go ahead.
Let's just put it this way. North Dakota kicked the crap out of all the rest of the IMCA stock car world.
North Dakota proved that we have some great racers up here.
There's a reason why the Dakota Classic Mod Tour has one of the best the best stock car series as well.
I'd agree with that. And I hope that I know Shelby Williams that was up here last year for the first time. I think he's planning on coming up here again this year. Hope he continues to come up here and bring a host of drivers with him, because it's always cool to see a good mix of drivers come from all over.
Agreed. Yep. It's a lot of fun to see 14, 15 states in one racetrack arena setting as well across the whole week there in July.
Yep. Oh, Becca, were you going to say something? Sorry.
I was just saying, like, that was a couple of weeks ago. There's still quite a bit of racing going on right now. There is a dirt track
A lot
racing.
of racing.
A lot of racing. Yes, there's I've been keeping tabs on Volusia right now. There's been a lot of big names down there, not only in regards to maybe NASCAR, just because Speed Weeks is just around the corner. Oh gosh, this is going to lead into the next point that we're going to talk about, but like tradition versus like new and modernizing things. But I guess it's not quite Speed Weeks yet because they don't qualify until a couple days. But anyways, a lot of NASCAR folks are down in Volusia, as well as a lot of big names in dirt track racing. So they're down there. The Working Man Nationals is starting real soon. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff to watch right now on the broadcasts.
Yeah, and we're recording this on a Thursday, and the XR Working Man Nationals is taking place down in Las Vegas. I know we have a good portion of drivers down there too. I know Aaron Blacklands, Ryan Satter, I believe, are just a couple that are down there. Chris Edmonds, I believe, is another one.
Preston Carr's down there as well. Brady Biella is down there. Colin Hibden is down there. So we have a lot of those ones. Kurt Becken is down there as well. Including Jeremy Castro is also down there. So a lot of the guys that are right around here from the Wissota IMC area and the Northern Plains are down there representing all of us from up here.
Yep.
And then if you go a step further, like Becca said, down in Florida, the UMP Modifieds have been having some great shows here over the last weekend. I know Kevin Adams was down there. Buzzy Adams again was down there again this year and had some very nice showings down there as well here this past week.
Yes, John. And then right now over at Volusia, there's quite a few mods. I think tonight they had 94 mods.
Yes.
And quite a few bigger named IMCA guys are down there. You got Ethan Dotson, you got Tim Ward, Benji, I think it's Benji Lacrosse, and then Mighty Mike Mullen out of Seymour, I think.
Yep,
it's somewhere in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of IMCA guys going down there and mixing it up, along with the Travis Pastranas and Steve Arpin and Kenny Schrader. So
Justin Haley.
Yep. And no Kenny Wallace this year.
Nope. He said Z.
Yeah, and everyone's like, where the heck is Kenny Wallace? And he's just like, I leave for 1 year for Volusia, and I get so many messages, but you need to take a break from that stuff every now and then too.
Also, Kenny Wallace has openly admitted that he's taking a step back in his dirt track racing. So I think he's going to stick more local, which is St. Louis for him. So I think you might just see him just hanging out in Missouri and whatnot. So.
Yep. Yeah, so plenty of racing going on. Doesn't leave a whole lot of time for an off season, I guess. But, I guess it keeps all of us that are cooped up in our little igloos up north entertained while we wait out in the spring and hopefully racing starting in the late April or early May, whatever weather allows us for this year. So kind of the main topic for today, we're going to kind of talk about some of the NASCAR stuff that's been going on and kind of compare it to how we can utilize it for dirt track racing. I know, which is kind of a touchy subject depending on who you ask, but I think there's some things we can take away from it that can help us, or kind of maybe some things we could maybe maybe not work not so great in the dirt racing road. And so this last weekend, they just had the clash over at the Los Angeles Coliseum, which that's the second year that they've done that event, which brings in a whole new audience, meaning that it's in the middle of Los Angeles, and obviously it attracts a different crowd. They do a lot of performances with some of the musical artists that cater more to a younger audience, and they kind of have it formatted so that way it's kind of more towards like a casual fan base. And so with dirt racing coming up, and obviously we're trying to figure out ways that we can get fans to the track and kind of have some fun activities. How do we balance that? Like, what are some, I guess, do you have any off the wall ideas that would maybe still get some new fans to track, but also maintain like the main core fans that we do have at the racetracks? Go ahead, John.
I've got two. So I'll actually go first on this one too. Now, performer wise, I know we just talked about that from the NASCAR side, that NASCAR does a pretty good job actually now of doing performances, especially during their big races. Beforehand they might have that concert per se. I think that's actually a really good thing if you would have like even sometimes a pre-race or / post-race. It's probably better to have a pre-race, and here's the reason why. Because you get the fan already there, and then you start the show like right after. That part actually is kind of nice because they're already there. When you do it afterwards, they might come later and they might not be there for the actual race itself. So there might be already there for the concert beforehand. That part actually I do like, because then you're actually having that person there the whole time, and there for the experience, not just there for one aspect of the show. So that part I really like from that piece. The second piece, and it's maybe not so much of a NASCAR thing, but maybe a little bit of it too, is that I really like having the ability to go, and there's some tracks up here that do a really good job of this, to go through almost like a vendors per se, or almost like driver's shop or something else like that one too. You know, when you walk into a NASCAR thing, most of the time you have the the booth set up outside of the track before you get in the track, with all the t-shirt shops and the vendor shops and everything else in there too, which is pretty cool, because it's almost like you're spending half your day, half the day there before you even get to the racetrack itself, or in there to see the races. Because I remember at NASCAR shows that we have been to, that's what we did. I mean, we spent almost half a day out there at the booths alone, getting autographs from drivers, getting souvenirs and other gear. And some tracks here do a really good job of that. They have shops set up to where they have the driver's merchandise right there, or they'll have a driver there that that will do autographs on the shirt if you buy it, or anything else like that one too, which I think is a really good, almost like marketing tool a little bit to draw people into, hey, let's meet that person at this time and go from there. So that's where that's at. But I think the big overall fold of this is almost like from a ticket standpoint, it might even almost be not like a season pass, but maybe you get a set number of dates directly through a ticket that you can physically attend. And I know there's other sporting events that do that, to where, say for instance, they have 20 games a season. Let's use like maybe a hockey team, this 20 games a season. You can buy a ticket package of 5, and you can go to 5 of those during that period of time. So that might be something that maybe is a good idea from a racing standpoint too, to get that casual fan in. And then you can utilize those for various things across the board, whether it's silent auction items at charity events or something else like that one too, and then people could bid on them. So that's areas to where can kind of get out there a little bit more for fans, and the newer fan that maybe wants to experience it with their family, just be like, yep, here we go.
Those are really good ideas. Good work, John. Becca or Jessup, do you have any thing that like we could try on the dirt racing side of it? I have an idea, but if you guys have one, go ahead.
Go ahead, Becca.
So I feel like if anything that you can do to engage the young race fans, they're gonna want to come back. So I don't know if this outfit does this anymore. I haven't seen them at the racetracks very often for many years now, but like for a while there was a late model simulator, and I know several people on this podcast spent lots of money trying to beat the fastest lap times at certain racetracks. And even as a young kid, if you can pretend you are a late model driver, you're behind the wheel, you're turning laps, if you feel like you're a race car driver, I feel like those kids are going to have a deep interest in dirt track racing from the get-go. They're going to want to come back, especially if they feel like they're racing the same race cars as their heroes on the track. That kind of stuff, getting those young kids engaged from the get-go is really, really important. So anything you can do to get young kids interested in dirt track racing throughout the night, whether that's before the races, during the races, or even after the races, that's huge. That's really important. So whether it's the bike giveaways at intermission, whether it's bringing the cars up front before the races, whether it's just going down into the pits after the races, those little things, those little touches that drivers make on those impressions that they make on those young kids is huge. So I really like that. I haven't seen those dirt track simulators around the tracks, or at least around here in North Dakota, in a while. So I don't know who did that, but someone out there should bring that back again, because I do know there was always a very long line for the simulator at whatever we were at.
There very well was. So
I don't
Manly
know,
always,
but yes, bring it back. So that's a great way to get people engaged, young and old, and make them feel like they're important and special.
Cool. Yeah. I just went down memory lane because I spent a little bit of time on that late model simulator. I
For
know
sure.
that. I never got the fast time, but I was close.
I did beat Jessup, so I was just happy on that.
He did one time.
The only time I tried it against him. Otherwise, I would race otherwise without him.
Hey, all I know is Chet Manley got announced at the Knoxville Nationals.
This is true.
Right.
This
I-
is very true.
So if Chet Manley can do it, all of you can do it too.
There you go. Good motivation for you. Jessup, you got any crazy or wacky ideas?
I don't know. Right now, John put forth a lot of good ones. Beck brought up some good ones. Right now, society's kind of hard to judge what they want. The short attention spans. I mean, we're all traditionalists for the most part. I guess out of the four of us, I would say I'm probably the least traditional because I've had such a heavy background in athletics, which I was always a diehard sports fan and was always a fan of racing, but not to the levels that you guys were. So I guess that's a little different. But I don't know. Really, right now it's just so hard to judge what people want, what the newer, the potential new clientele or the new race fan really wants because it's such a fine balancing point of they want a short show of like 2.5 hours, but the diehard race fans want something closer to 3.5 hours. And it's such a fine line to walk between the two to please both, as you can tell. It's rather difficult, especially if the people are like John at times.
Just so miserable, right?
Just miserable.
But you know what? John's got valid points to being miserable. I mean, if you look at what NASCAR has done, they basically sold out their main clientele, which in turn, when they turned their back to them, that clientele said, "Well, screw it, we're not going to really follow you anymore, and we're not going to make our kids come with us to these events," which then killed off another generation. And now NASCAR kind of got greedy when the big boom with Dale and Jeff came around, and now that boom's cooled off quite a bit, and now they don't have any real fans to bounce back upon besides their remaining like diehards, and that's even getting questionable because that base is getting a little older, and the dirt track racing is no different. I mean, it's like there was a massive disconnect between promoters and still trying to get the new fans because there was such a groundswell of fans at one point that they didn't have to try hard. Now that there's no replacement fan and we're struggling and looking all over like crazy to find these new fans, or at least to attempt to get new fans to the track. And while we're getting some here and there, and it's starting to make a comeback because it's starting to be the cool thing to be a dirt track fan, you're still not getting a true replacement for the generation that's pretty much your core right now. So I don't know. Ideas, it's really difficult to say. I agree with keep pushing fan interaction and keep trying to get the youth involved, but you can't strictly focus it all to the youth because I'll be the first to say I'm a diehard monster truck fan, and they used to sell trucks by whoever won each race. Like, so if a Ford won, Ford trucks would be pretty much favored by that fan base. If a Dodge won, Dodge would start selling the next week. And they pushed it to kids, and now there's nothing there. And it's like, oh, the kids are here. Well, now it's so kiddish, and it's like it's pushed all the diehard fans off, and it's trash. And I fear the same is starting to happen between NASCAR and dirt track. We're starting to focus so much. We have to push to get this new fan base and these new kids interested. We almost just crap on the the adults and the current fan base. So I don't know. It's a tough one.
Jessup made me realize something. So some of us on this podcast are reliving our childhood by watching old NASCAR races on YouTube. And something I've noticed back in 2002, which is crazy, that's like 21 years ago, math and such. But a lot of NASCAR drivers did a lot of commercials in 2002. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not talking about like one or two. I'm talking like there were at least at any given time within the season, there was at least 10 different NASCAR commercials floating around, whether it's Jeff Gordon promoting Pepsi, Michael Waltrip promoting Napa. There was a lot of commercials floating around, and sometimes they even made the national scene where it wasn't just promoted during NASCAR or during the NASCAR race, it was promoted nationwide. Very rare in 2023 do you see a NASCAR driver promoting their sponsor during a NASCAR race. I know Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano had a couple of commercials last year, but before that, I can't remember the last time a driver had a commercial. And it's
Can I
kind of
ask a question for you?
Mhm.
And this is to John and Mason as well. You're watching the 2002 series, right?
Yep.
Season. Would you say that's not about the peak boom of NASCAR? So what you guys are watching is when NASCAR, we'll call it what it is, when NASCAR sold out and then went to all the metro locations and sold out all the core tracks to give more metro locations. That is, you're watching, wow, it is your childhood. It is the peak boom of NASCAR. Ever since then, it's dipped.
I'd say
And
2006 was the year it started dipping, but I would agree, yes.
but that's totally different then. There's the product is cold now, or not as hot as it was then, because when during that time, NASCAR was the hot ticket. They would sell out all the tracks.
Yep.
And then they went to the bigger track for more seats, and those tracks became kind of boring, and they took it away from the tracks that had tradition behind them, which would bring into John's realm. So they started basically cutting away from their traditional fans to get the money grab and the money pits. And that is where it's led us to, where you're not going to see a lot of NASCAR drivers on commercials because there's no real, how do you say, the consumer is not buying NASCAR as much as it was. NASCAR was the hot product. Now it's not. So there's no real need for NASCAR based commercials in the sponsors' eyes.
And I would agree with Jessup on that 100% from a business stance. It almost like NASCAR has become more of how can I get the quick dollar back, then how can I make sure that the product that I'm offering is good and sufficient, but also on how are you going to go through and retain those sponsors, because your sponsorships have gone down just because economic conditions have gone down, but also your product isn't there that promotes that sponsorship. So that's an area that I think is one of the biggest struggles, that they're going to have to address here for several years now, because it's gotten to the point to where it's going to need to be addressed, because your money that you had in the sport back in the peak time, maybe of 2002 through 2010 era, somewhere in that range, is definitely not to where it is nowadays.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how the culture has kind of shifted since that peak boom in the mid 2000s and where it is now. But I think they do have some things that they utilize at the Clash I think they could utilize a little bit. Like the last thing I'll kind of say in regards to like what we can do in dirt track racing, because there was actually 1 or 2 years I remember being at the 4th of July at Nodak Speedway, where especially during the intermission, they had a performer come. I think it was like a local band or like a local artist that a lot of people knew. So they got like a mini concert at intermission. And I think they performed after the races too, after the fireworks and stuff. So I actually think that's a really good idea, especially if you have like a well-known local artist. Like I don't know what a local hairball is, but that'd be one of them that comes to mind. That would be one that's like, hey, hairball, come perform at intermission for like 10, 15, 20 minutes or something like that. And
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know the local artist
It's-
very well,
it's a
so
good,
forgive me.
I'm gonna say it's a good like example.
Yeah. Yeah, but it could be it's an idea. So
It's
but
something
yeah,
different
it's
than the average dirt track race, so I'm all for it.
Hmm.
yeah, so some interesting and wacky ideas. We're always looking for ideas to spruce up our racing programs, and it'll be we'll see what kind of gets utilized for the 2023 season. So we'll transition to some of the little rumors and schedule releases. There's been a lot of schedule releases. I won't go through the whole list of all of them, but check out their Facebooks, their websites that they have them. Just a few to mention: Alexandria, Aberdeen, Estevan, Monty, Watertown. A lot of schedules being released for the 2023 season. So start filling out your master schedule if you're like me, kind of color coding and figure out which races that you'll be kind of planning out.
And race fans and everybody else, if you want a master schedule of races for like North Dakota and maybe a little bit of the surrounding areas, guess what? Check out Dakota Dirt. Again, they are your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing news, results, and much more. Remember, there are other platforms out there. Don't even bother with them. I don't even know why you even would bother with them. They're gimmicky. So check out Dakota Dirt. Again, they are on social media on dakotadirt.org as well as Facebook.
Yeah, Dakota Dirt hasn't had a whole lot to add, besides probably Estevan and I don't know, kind of just sharing the tours that might be passing through. So kind of been able to stay up to tabs on that, I assume.
Yeah, we've just been rather busy in other fields right now, but we've been keeping a rather close eye to the local racing scene. Probably could do a few more updates on what's going on out west, but that's a lot right now with we've got a lot of irons in the fire right now.
You have a kitty cat.
I'll say Becca got way closer to the camera because the cat showed up.
Well, she thinks that she gets closer to the camera, she can actually, the cat can see her better. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, we're still waiting on the eastern part of the state outside of like Jamestown for schedules in North Dakota. But
Well, one interesting thing that's been put out was Devil's Lake is running 10 shows of late models this year, so that should be exciting for them. Should be exciting for the northeastern late model guys. So that gives them another option. Give the Winnipeg drivers an option as well. So should be a good time up there.
You guys, we've been asking for more late model shows in North Dakota, and Devil's Lake, God, I hope they'll watch our podcast or listen to it, answered our prayers. At least we have 10 late model shows here in North Dakota. Yes.
Well, we have a lot more than
well, let's say we'll have a lot more than 10.
There's Williston's
But
got
more
one.
like full-time
Dickinson's
per se.
got one.
Thank you. Yes, because
There's two at
the
Underwood.
there's two
The
in
Jamestown's got at least one, technically two. And then you got all of River Cities. So,
race,
and
and
then
yeah, you're saying, but yes, but Devil's Lake 10 shows this summer. That's probably more than any other track in this state. So that is more than any track in the state.
Well, as of right now,
No.
we haven't, but as of
Oh my
right
God,
now,
hold on,
because Grand
Mason.
Forks hasn't come up with their schedule.
It's true. We don't know what Grand Forks is doing yet, so put that yellow flag away. No, they haven't released.
Hey, Becca's
I
making
tried
her
to save you, Becca. I tried to save you on that.
It's
But
okay.
He's getting the caution flag.
You can't put a caution flag for what we don't know yet.
Yes, I
We're
can.
still putting a caution flag because we know for sure that that they will be at River Cities.
Well, yeah, we all know that.
And we
but
do know that for sure they have at least 3 shows in September alone.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good point.
And,
That-
and
And there's at least one more, John. You got
Yeah.
the World of Outlaws. That's
Yep.
4 shows right there.
Any others?
Well, then
Well,
there's the season opener.
The season
That's
openers
5.
and
That's-
every single other race that's going to happen on their schedule.
Race of Champions night.
Yep.
Hey, and then you got the NLRA nights. So that's another 2.
Which, yeah, at least 2, if not more.
So
I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting to see Devil's Lake get some late models. They kind of picked up where Cheyenne dropped off, and that's exciting to see late models are getting a little further west.
Yeah, so since they have 10 late model shows out of the 20 that you can use for nationals, it really opens the door for some of the northern guys to be able to put together a good show count and make
Oh,
a run at national
absolutely.
points.
Absolutely. They're going to be, there's definitely doors that have opened up to be threats for national championships.
Mason, you were there for that vote.
I was
Way to
there.
be an influencer.
I was an influencer, I guess. I didn't have a voting.
Oh,
He was just there.
Right, but yeah, and so and kind of just briefly touching on a couple of the other tours that got released. Rebel Midwest Mod Tours, 2 weekends, kind of nicely condensed. I think that's a
Yep.
good move, I think, especially for the Midwest mods. And so
I would agree.
condensed and action-packed, we can call it.
well, that's true. They're going to be action packed. I still think I'm more of an expert on U and B mods, although fantasy standings might say otherwise from time to time, which blows my mind.
It's like
Mason, it's okay. We all know who the real B-Mod fan is.
Right.
You.
I do like B mods. I do enjoy
I
them.
know you do. I don't
Yep.
mind them. I get
Just-
tired when they spin like 50 billion times by the second lap of the first heat.
he also gets ridiculously lucky in fantasy racing. with B-Mod.
This is very true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What?
Either he's a closet B-Mod fan or he just gets ridiculously lucky.
I say
so-
he couldn't
He's a
even
product
refute
of that.
that. So I mean, he knows it's the truth.
I am good at B-Mods. It is a specialty. It is a curse.
Yep.
A curse. Nice.
And then the Street Stock Tour is got a pretty similar schedule. I think they're still dabbling in maybe doing. I don't know if I can share this or not. I think it's been commented on their post, but like kind of an east-west portion of it.
Wait.
So
Oh, not what I was hoping for. Dang.
we'll see.
Oh, I thought we were going.
I was all excited. I was like, we're gonna do the ARCA east-west. Let's do this.
It's talk. I don't know if it's going to be official on that, but we'll see.
Oh, how are we gonna do this? 22 races in the west or 22 in the east?
No, it would be because it's 22, so it's even, so it'd be 11 and 11. But it wouldn't overlap, so like you could run all 22.
How
if you
far
wanted.
west is this going? Is this just like just a central, or is this going like all the way out?
Right now, it's out to Jamestown and then Menominee.
Menominee's east, Mason.
Yeah, like west, and then I'm going to the east side.
Yeah, but what about all of our friends on the far west?
I think there's been conversations on trying to get something in the works for out there. There's been a lot of dialogue.
bet
I would
there
love
has-
to make a weekend trip out there. I really would. Maybe one of these years for the Labor Day weekend when the Pelkeys don't guilt me into going to the Silver 1000, I could go out to the East-West Clash.
You know, if we would have just went last year, you would have been able to go this year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but then you would have blamed me for the rough track in Proctor because
no.
of my
It's
moisture-filled reputation.
They're going to have moisture this year anyhow because you're going to be there.
See, my
Mason,
point was made.
Continue on, my.
Did we make a mistake inviting Mason to Florida?
Oh, it could be rainy
We
next
haven't even got to that point yet, because
We're almost there.
Ask.
We're almost there. So kind of wrapping up, we have a couple banquets coming up that I believe all of us will be at. One of them, Jamestown's banquet's coming up. Remind me, John, it's on the 25th.
Fifth.
25th.
I will be
So
showing up in ice fishing bibs.
there you go. So I believe one or two people are going to be helping MC that banquet or be dishing out some awards. So if you're in the Jamestown area, whether you're a fan, driver, crew member, come on over. It's nice to get reacquainted before the racing season and get some more details on what's upcoming for the 2023 schedule. I'll be going the next weekend to another banquet down in Cheyenne. They're having their banquet on the 4th of March, I believe. And so 2 straight weekends of banquet fun for me. And so I'm looking forward to that. Before I forget, there is, we put out a post last week. We have a fantasy group for NASCAR with the 500 coming up in just over a week from now. I invite you to join us and see if you have more fantasy knowledge in NASCAR than any of us do. And we have that group opened up. And so go ahead and check it out and you get to make your picks and you can, I think, edit up until the end of stage 2 with one of your picks in and out of the lineup. And so it's a fun time. It's a nice little banter before the racing season gets started up here and keeps us entertained. And so invite you to join our fantasy racing group. But what's the name of it again? Is it just Track Packers?
Yes, it
Track
is.
Packers Podcast.
Yeah.
Now, remember, you have to make an entry. Actually, you got to make an account on the NASCAR page. Then you got to make an entry to come join our group. And then, oh my God, John fell asleep. That's
Oh,
awesome.
I'm still here.
Oh, good. He's awake. And then once you get on, just remember when the B mods are out packing the track with you and wiping you up and down the track, it's just science.
Boy, please, let's send B-Mods Pack the Track to the bottom of the standings, please, right out of the gate. That would be great to see.
But we should put something on the line so we can have like fan engagement all year. So we don't just get the people who show up for the first week and they're like, oh, I beat you. And then
You
they
know, I've
disappear
been
for the
throwing
rest
out
of the year.
the idea of merchandise, whether it's stickers or shirts or hats. I have been kind of tossing that idea around. So if fans want to get some like Track Packers gear.
I wonder if we could like do like a free viewing pass for something in the off season. So obviously we have to like do something that's like past like the NASCAR season. So maybe like
Why
I
don't we
want to
just
talk to like whoever does like Dirt in December or maybe Winter Nationals or even like Wild West. Something that would get the fans like, all right, I gotta do it all 36 races to get that free viewing pass.
Well, do you know who one of the first people outside of us that got into that group? Did you see?
Yeah, I talked him into it.
Ah,
There's a reason he can't like strategically focus on all of his things.
oh, shit.
You see, folks, once again, I'm just gonna call people out here.
Pomeranian?
Yeah,
Are
the
we talking about that
Pomeranian,
yappy
the little
dog?
yappy dog. Sir yaps a lot. He's good, but I don't think he can watch everything. He might be able to. So we should get Twitchy in here too, see if he can have all of his, little charts and stuff that have come after us. Let me just put it this way. You're all playing chess while I'm playing 4D chess.
I was gonna say, if you say checkers, I'm like, that is not how you say it, but
Hey, I can jump many things. I can jump multiple people all at once.
wow, this is all cool.
Anyways.
Interesting.
What do you mean it's a coup? You guys can't beat me. Becca can't. John can. Mason can't.
I beat you in Wissota Fantasy last year.
No, I
Not
can't.
at NASCAR
He's
Fantasy.
bowling on Sundays and forgets to pick half the time.
Honestly, I forget. I'm on the road half the time.
Good excuses.
Especially at the beginning of the season.
Good.
Yeah.
I think we should put something like a good, like a good winning thing, like 2 tickets to a NASCAR race.
I can make that happen. Just let me know.
I was gonna say
But
Becca's
what
originally
track?
making things
Where should we send them?
I
If it's
really
me.
think
I want
we
to go
should-
somewhere good if it's me, but
Oh,
if it's
I really
somebody
think that
else,
it should
where
go
do I
to
want to send
Flash.
them?
I
Don't
knew that was John's answer.
We'll send to Vegas.
I mean, you
That
can't
would
get any
actually
better than
that'd be
that
the
freaking
perfect one
Clash.
for John. The Clash. John would show up. Oh my God, you would have to go on site with John, Mr. Miserable, in person at the Clash.
I will make this happen. Clash tickets.
And I would be like, look, this is how stupid this is.
How unappreciative you are.
Well, we'll brainstorm over this week leading up to the 500 and see if we can get some incentive for people to join the group. So last thing I want to kind of discuss is the 500 coming up. Jessup, Becca, and I will be going down to Florida for the 500, hopefully getting tickets for it. Fingers crossed.
Fine, don't you worry.
All righty. So we're gonna hit up Volusia for one night, I think, is the plan. What are people's predictions for the winner in the Daytona 500?
Ooh, that's.
And if you say the guy that crosses the finish line first, I will
Jessup?
instantly jettison you into
Okay,
the
hold on.
Atlantic
Okay,
Ocean.
okay. I will change my answer. It is I have a strong feeling it's going to be the guy ahead of the second car that finishes across the line.
You him.
Mason.
Done with you.
Oh, that's so
Mason!
great.
I didn't say no, you're being mean.
All right, I'm
I'm
gonna
a
give a real
victim.
prediction right here.
She's got the finger going and everything.
I believe a Hendrick car will get the pole. Hendrick puts a lot of
Time and
Back.
resources.
I'm willing to put a lot of money on
They
that
wanna
second
be
place
on the
chase
pole.
gets something
They
less than
always,
second.
obviously they go for the win, but for whatever reasons, they just don't always have the speed on race day, and they usually get wadded up in a wreck somewhere along the way.
So Becca, are you saying they have the speed, but not
On
the skill?
qualifying day,
Or is it they have the skill, but not the speed?
Mason,
What? I'm not laughing at all.
Not at all.
obviously, I would love to see Chase or Kyle win the 500. Actually, the first 500 Daytona 500 I ever went to in 2007, they were leading with like 10 laps to go and then just ran out of gas. But there's that. So I'm predicting a Hendrick car for the pole. What?
No,
2017 is what you're probably thinking of, not 2007, because I remember
just gonna say,
2007,
I'm pretty sure
and
it
I
was
have nightmares
17.
about that.
Is that where Mark Martin lost by inches?
Yes.
okay, so I'm gonna also throw this prediction out here, John. I don't believe Mark Martin will be winning this year.
He'll come up short once again in life and in everything else.
That's why am I getting Becca called Mark
Why
Martin
is it?
short?
Thank you, Mason. Thank you.
I didn't do this.
John, what's your prediction?
Okay, so my overall prediction, this is truly who I think is going to win this year. I agree with Becca. I think Hendrick is going to sit on the front row. That I do agree with. But from the winner's standpoint, I really think Ryan Blaney might break through. He has been so close the last probably 2 to 3 years. And even with how strong he is at Talladega, and obviously Daytona is a different animal, if he can stay out of the wrecks, he's going to be very close to picking up that Daytona 500 victory next week, Sunday.
That was one of the guys I was picking because like he didn't have a great season last year, and I think it'll balance out this year that he'll get out to a pretty good start.
I would agree.
Can I give my
Can I
pick?
make one? Wait, who's going? Me or Becca? She's already talked enough.
Becca's
I,
already talked enough. So Jessup, your turn.
Denny Hamlin.
All right, so Becca's wrong there. It's not going to be Denny. So here's my predictions of what's going to happen. So it's going to get down to the end, and Denny's going to be leading, okay?
Probably.
But he's going to have that 23 car behind him, and I'm not going to lie. Bubba's going to step on it, and he's going to dump Denny, all right? In the process, Bubba's going to run out of talent, take out 2/3 of the field. Kyle Busch is going to sneak through as the ultimate middle finger to JGR, and it's going to happen. But I would like to see Kevin Harvick win, but Kyle Busch is my pick.
RCR has been tough. They have been tough.
They have been.
Jessup, if this actually happens, are we gonna
Oh
stay
my,
for all the interviews?
Oh my God. If this happens, I might go on the track. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get.
Jessup is going to be that fan that's crawling over the fence like happened in Richmond a couple years
Oh
ago.
gosh.
But that's
Oh,
that's
man.
my prediction. I think honestly, I think Hendrick, they're going to take a big step back at the 500 this year. I don't see a lot of I don't see a lot of success. I think who is it? Christopher Bell's going to struggle because I think he's going to be a little. He didn't sound like he was having fun at the Clash after the boss man told him no more dirt track racing.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's going to be some contention there. I think honestly this year 2311 is going to be the better of the two Toyota teams. I think you're going to see Truex leave. I think Truex might get I think he might get to the final round of 4 for playoffs. I think Denny's going to suck. Just the feeling. I think Denny's going to suck. And I think Chastain's going to that'd be another good one if Chastain smokes Denny. That would be hilarious. But I think 2311 is going to be the hot team, but it's not going to be Bubba. I think Bubba will get another one this year. I don't know where, but I think he's going to get a super speedway win. And yeah, outside of that, Ford's going to suck.
I think so. John took my prediction of Blaney, so I'll go with a different one. I actually think Hendrick's one of the Hendrick cars is going to win the 500. I'll go with William Byron. He's pretty good on super speedways.
Jimmy's going to win.
That'd be a pretty cool story.
It would be.
It would be.
That would be. I'd be happy with that. The one time I'd be
After
happy
the
for Jimmy winning.
melee in corner 4, and Jimmy's going to just limp it to the victory.
I hope not, but I hope he doesn't have to limp to the victory. I want to see Jimmy win, just full throttle.
Okay, those are my predictions.
Yeah, so we'll be down there next week. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll put out a show, but we'll kind of do some updates, kind of like with racing content related. And so
I don't see why we shouldn't. We did it on tour.
this is true. This is a lot to take on a trip, though.
Not really. Just bring your laptop.
No, fine.
This is true.
Super fancy, Mason.
That's
Can be
true.
like us peasants.
And then Becca can tell us we're still in Illinois.
This is true too.
Sad but true. So with that, I think that'll do it for episode 3 of the Track Packers podcast. Be sure to like and comment on the video. We are on Facebook and also YouTube. So if you want to go watch us on YouTube, you can do that there. Obviously, if you're listening on the various streaming platforms, be sure to be subscribed on Apple or Google and Spotify, I believe is what we're on. And also thanks our sponsor, Hitch Harness, for coming on board with us. Check out their website. Appreciate you all supporting us. Give us a 5-star review if you feel that we are entertaining you to your fullest ability. And so from then, we'll go out there and pack the tracks.